Hi everyone, Sajid Amit here and welcome to my quick impressions video of the Sennheiser HD660S2. Latest from Sennheiser in their very venerable lineup of the 6XO series. This has a very high bar to live up to because it's just so difficult to beat out the HD650, 6XX or the HD600 because these headphones, the HD600 and the HD650 have had, I think, the most staying power of any headphone on the planet in this hobby. So this comes in with extremely high sort of standards to live up to, which in all honesty, it does not. So that's the summary of the review, but this is a good headphone nonetheless. So what follows are going to be my impressions, very quick impressions on accessories, on technical performance and tonality, and I'll finally sort of give this a grade overall. So in terms of accessories, it is pretty minimal and it's what you expect nowadays with Sennheiser headphones. A very basic cardboard box. This has two cables inside, one 4.4 mm cable and one 6.35, a quarter inch. And you get an adapter to convert the quarter inch jack into a 3.5 if you want to go that way. This has a baggie as well, a small pouch. And that's about it. So I've driven this off my DAPs because it is not difficult to drive, but this does scale off OTLs, which I've tried this on. This is the 4.4, of course. You still get the standard Sennheiser 2-pin jacks that, you know, a lot of us are very acquainted with by now. Very clampy, but once you have this on your head, somehow the clamp force, for me at least, stops bothering me. And it becomes very comfortable and it's super duper light, and you can wear this to you can wear this around the house. You can even wear this lying in your bed. So it's very ergonomic overall, as is well known for most of the 6XO or all of the 6XO lineup. All right, to talk about sound, guys. So in terms of sound, it is interesting because it is the same headphone that you're very acquainted with some tuning quirks. And the tuning quirks does affect your perception of technical performance. So in terms of tuning quirks, first and foremost, this does have better sub-bass presence. And some of the graphs I've seen do bear this out. So there is, I suppose, a quantitative evidence, so to speak, that would suggest this has more prominent sub-bass. Now, not all the graphs bear this out, but at least one that I've seen does suggest this has more sub-bass. In that it has a more prominent shelf, slightly more in relation to the 650 or 600. The other reason why this sounds more bassy to me has to do with the fact that the pinna gain here is not as energetic in the ear gain region as tends to be the case with the 600 or the 650. So because it is not as prominent in the 3 kilohertz range, you do hear the sub bass more. So that's that. So it's overall a bassier headphone, but it's not for bass heads, if you know what I mean. I mean, it's not going to slam hard, it doesn't, but you do get better bass depth. Moving on to the mid-range, it is the same creamy, warm, enticing mid-range that you associate with Sennheiser headphones or IEMs even. Sennheiser just has a very strong grip on how to tune a mid-range and make it sound lush, lifelike, warm, analog. So that is still true with this headphone. And if you have never come across the 600 or 650 and you pick this up and you listen to vocals with this, whether male or female, you might think that this is a steal for $600. I'll talk about pricing in a bit in the context of the other headphones that you can buy from Sennheiser. But without that benchmark of the 600 or 650, this mid-range is going to be famous. Well, it might not become famous because in reality, 600 and 650 do exist, but it's a nice mid-range, guys. It's not as recessed, it's not as protruding as the 650 or the 600, which I don't mind. I like the fact that it's slightly more restrained. I do think the 650 can get shouty at times. Some people call it intimate, and it is intimate, the 650, but it's sort of the right side of, intimacy versus shoutiness. But it can be shouty. The 650 can be shouty with certain tracks. And what also happens because of the recession in upper mids, it does sound less congested than the HD650. So the HD650, when you play a lot of busy tracks, especially one example that comes to my mind is some rage against the machine tracks, the 650 would get a bit congested in around that sort of upper mids range, with guitars coming in, vocals coming in, and sort of Zach, belting out lyrics and all that. So you do get a sense that it all becomes very congested and mushy with the 650, and that opens up here. So that's nice, and you do get a sense of better detail retrieval then from the treble region, although the treble here is, on the graph at least, more recessed than on the 650, slightly more. However, you should not take out the mid-range and the treble and the bass and read the graph separately for these parts of the frequency spectrum, but you should sort of try to form a sense holistically from the graph, right? So holistically, what happens is, because upper mids are more recessed, you do get a sense of more bass, and because the upper mids are more recessed, you get a wider soundstage. You simply get a wider soundstage and better perception of resolution even. So because of its interesting tonality and the tonal differences, this might come off as more resolving, as wider, as more spacious in terms of its imaging compared to the 6XO lineup that preceded this. What I'm trying to say, guys, is that Sennheiser has tuned it in such a way that will give you an impression that it's more technically proficient. So you might even consider this to be an upgrade over the 650 or 600, which some people are reporting, their experiences to be. So some people are saying that this is an upgrade for them. And I think that's why, because a lot happens when you restrain the upper mids. The bass goes up, your perception of the bass goes up, you get a better spaced out sort of presentation. It sounds less congested. And overall, this might be what a lot of people are liking about it. And I do like this about the 660S2. And I do think that it can be a reasonable complement to the 650 and the 600. All right, moving on to technical performance, which I've alluded to already or covered somewhat. The resolution here is not on its own a significant step up from 650 or 600. It is not a very resolving headphone. And I do not think that 650 is a very resolving headphone either. Just to give you an example, at a similar price point, you get Sennheiser's own IEM, the IE600. And I got the IE600 and the 660S2 in at the same time. I'll just quickly show the IE600, and I'm going to be dropping a review of that as well. So guys, what's interesting is, so that is the IE600, right? So when you switch from the 660S2 to the IE600, what happens automatically is that your perception of technical performance just goes up significantly. This is more resolving, has a lot more, minor sort of micro details that come through, better slam, better speed. And overall, the IE600 is, I think, a better sort of device for me with which to listen to music. But a lot of you might not like IEMs. A lot of you might think that IEMs are a bit invasive. I don't. I like IEMs a lot. But if you had to buy something in this sort of price range of $600, the IE600 is closer to $700. I would still recommend the IE600 if you are indifferent between a headphone or an IEM. But if you want a headphone, guys, it's not going to be as resolving as other headphones can be in this price point. The HiFiMan Edition XS is more resolving. The Edition XS, it does not inspire confidence in terms of its build quality. Like, it is a bit, cheap, sort of feeling. The Sennheiser headphones are made of plastic entirely, but they last, guys. Other than the earpads, which you often have to swap out at the end of a year of heavy usage, the Sennheiser headphones have had great staying power, so they do have very durable build quality. So in that, it does beat out the HiFiMan, but the HiFiMan planars are certainly a lot more resolving to me, right? So that's resolution. Imaging, I've talked about, is a step up, so it's an upgrade. It doesn't matter to me if the upgrade is because of the tonality or because of some inherent quality of the driver, but it is an upgrade in terms of imaging. It is an upgrade in terms of sound staging. It's the same in terms of slam and speed. It is not a very fast or snappy headphone, and it doesn't work really well with fast music. So I have played a lot of fast music with this, Metallica, Opeth, and it doesn't sound very well. It doesn't work really well with fast music or metal or rock for me because it doesn't slam like it should. So that's there. So dynamics are a bit compromised, like has always been the case with Sennheiser headphones, whether it's the 800 lineup or the 600 lineup. So that's there. However, timbrely, it is just a masterclass of headphone. I just love the headphone's timbre. I've loved it on every 6XO headphone, and it's no different with this. It's just a step up from every other headphone on the planet, with the exception of ZMF headphones. Sennheiser and ZMF just hit the ball out of the park when it comes to timbre, and I'm a huge timbre head. For that alone, this is just a lovely headphone, guys. Okay, so what does that leave us with? So for the price of $600, I think the tonality is still A grade. I love the tonality. Technical performance is a bit middling, so I would give it a B. And overall, because of timbre especially, and how much I like the Sennheiser headphone, the comfort, ergonomics, and durability, I would say it's an A minus overall headphone. So the overall rating I would give this headphone is an A minus. So you'll be able to make a sense of these ratings very soon, because I'll have a database of ratings for IMs and headphones soon. So stay tuned. For those sorts of things coming up, a database of 100 IMs and a whole lot of headphones I haven't counted yet, which will get a tonal grade and technical grade and overall grade, just like something similar to what Clinical does. So that's that. Would you buy this? Should you buy this? And who this is for? If you're a collector of Sennheiser S660 headphones, I think you'd like this. It's a nice complement to the 650, I think. But if you're starting out and you have $600 to spend, should you get this or should you get the HD650? I think if you have the 6XX, which can be had for quite cheap, closer to $200, the 6XX is still my recommended buy for the 6XO lineup. But it is still a lovely headphone, guys. And if you like the tonality, give it a try. See if you can audition this. It might just be your thing. It's a good headphone. It's definitely a good headphone and much better than the 660, which came before this, 660S rather. So it does get a buy recommendation from me, but I would advise that you try the 6XX/650 or 600 before you decide to buy this. That's it from me, guys. Hope this was useful, and stay tuned for my next one. Bye-bye.